Okay, so worst comes to worst, we have this. Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Mario microphone for the win. Oh, I know. So this, let's see, you guys just need one or you need two? Just need one. All right, so here's yours. We'll go and try it. Hey, PC, are we live streaming this? Or Jill, are we live streaming this?
Yes.
Where do you need Kevin and I to stand?
At the pulpit.
That's pulpit.
When I say we are live streaming.
What's that? ABC, hello Cleveland. What's that? It's over here. Kevin, they want.
Oh, really?
Just because for camera purposes.
I never taught behind a podium. I always moved around the room. I never taught behind a podium. I always moved around the room. Is this on? This is cool.
Okay, everyone, thank you for attending the congregation meeting. Before we get started online, just one thing we wanted to mention to those of you who are here in the sanctuary. As you can see, we have an extremely cool microphone that we're going to be using for questions, and these will actually get communicated to everyone who's joining us on the internet this morning. So if you have any questions, our request is that you can toss the microphone to each other. It's plush. Watch this.
Be nice.
Hey, Kevin.
See how that works? Now be nice. Don't drill them at people or try to hurt them. Just, we're a church. Be nice, okay? So please make sure you say your name, okay, and then your question so that people at home can know who's talking, and so we keep the open lines of communication. So say your name, ask your question, and I might have an answer. So we'll go with that, okay?
And they will not be seeing you online, just so you don't have to worry about having your face broadcast over the internet. They're just going to be seeing Kevin and I going, what? That's why we've got the mask on, as it hides the
Confusion.
So, does anybody want to start with the microphone?
Say anything at all?
You can say anything you want.
No. Oh.
Are we just ooh, that's pretty good. Well, it's good to see all of y'all. Wow, pretty good turnout, actually. Yeah. Anyone else want to test it? Beth says she went. Yeah, I'm not sure about it. Let's see if I can throw it that far.
That was impressive.
Of course.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Tree of Life Lutheran Church. And I'm so glad to be part of this family. All right, who's next?
Hey, Jill, how are you? Good.
There's a
Happy
sign-up
birthday,
sheet
Julie.
going around, so make sure you get signed in, please.
Who's next?
It's out in the front. All right.
I see somebody who probably needs to test it, don't you think? Should we let him? You want to try? You ready?
Hello. Hello. My name is Caitlin. Samantha. Get this to Kellen and Denisha. Will you get it to Kellen and Denisha?
Hey, but it didn't take up the floor. Well, on the floor. Oh, here it is. Here it is.
It's real durable, so we're okay.
Yeah.
Y'all ready? You want it, Kellen?
Please be sure to sign in.
You'll catch
If
it?
you haven't, they're out front, the sign-in sheet.
Callan. Denisha.
You're a voting member. Who are you?
Chantel
Chantel who?
Brown.
Oh, I'm Jeremy Brown. Sweetheart, here it comes.
Angela. Where does this go? That way.
Apparently, I'm the holder of the microphone. It keeps coming back to me. I'll take it home. You notice on the microphone thing it says choose joy. I agree with that. We should all choose joy.
Mr. Solberg, you have the count.
Are we good? All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all here this morning for our, how many we do a year? 2, 3? Yeah. Our congregational meeting, okay? All right, so I'm Kevin Solberg. I am the vice president of the church council, and I'm supposed to become the president starting January 1st. But depending on how this meeting goes, I may turn atheist after this. So we'll see how this goes from here, all right? So I'd like to welcome you all here this morning, and we are going to have a call to order and officially start our meeting. Call to order. Do I have okay. Jim and Tom. All right. Okay, we have established a quorum. We do have enough people here in the sanctuary and online that we have established a quorum. Do I have a motion to establish a quorum? Peggy, do I have a second? Ms. Stiglman? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. And just so you know, this is the first time I've ever done this, so bear with me, okay? All right, thank you. All right, we have the quorum. I'm Pastor Chris.
The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Gracious God, as we gather in this way, we ask your presence, that your Spirit would move through us and inspire us and give us a vision of things to come and remember where we've been, so that ultimately we might know how to bring about your kingdom to this world. Help us be your church, Lord, your people. Through your Son, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. All right, next on the agenda. All right, so we have the call to order, which we have established a quorum. We've had our opening prayer, and now we're going to move to our financial report by Jim.
Yeah, I know this is the most exciting part of the presentation, so I'm glad they put it early enough so that you all aren't falling asleep by the time I go through this. Before I actually go into the financial report, did want to mention to everyone that we have a number of detailed spreadsheets and reports that we put together on a monthly basis. We do not have those available this morning to share with you, but if anyone is interested in obtaining a copy of those, please let me know, and I'd be more than willing to send you what I have on that and answer any questions on the detailed information that you have. What I'm going to go through this morning are some of the highlights and the summaries of where we're at for, do you mind if I take this? Sorry, I know since we're up here isolated from everyone in the middle of the podium, it's easier to talk without it on. So we're going to go through some of the financial highlights of where we're at current year and then talk a little bit about where we're at for our forecast for the remainder of the year. So overall, what you're going to see on these slides are the actuals. This is where we're at through the end of July on 2021, and then what we had actually budgeted to that point in the year. That's not our full year budget, that is our budget year to date of what we expected to have at that date. We'll first of all go through the revenue on this slide. We break this down into pledged offerings and non-pledged offerings, which came in at $124,000 for pledged offerings and almost $87,000 for the non-pledged. You can see that we do have some variances versus where we're at in our budget. We're down about $7,500 on our pledged offerings, and we're down about $16,000 on our non-pledged offerings. As you guys may remember, when we put this budget together back in December, there was a huge amount of uncertainty given the situation with COVID at the time, what we've gone through since that point with COVID and everything else. Not surprised to see that much variance going on with that. We do have all other revenue that we had coming in. We had budgeted for almost $24,000 to this point. You can see that we came in at $26,500. That does not include the money that the YMCA is paying us for the use of our sanctuary or of our fellowship hall through the summer as well. So that check came in earlier this month, and you'll actually see that showing up in the August financials. So we're actually ahead on all of our other. We've actually seen a little bit more building utilization than we originally budgeted. In addition, we actually received another PPP loan. I believe I mentioned this when we got together in the Congregational meeting earlier this year. That PPP loan was for $29,100. We have fully utilized all those funds. It went to paying staff salary for approximately 3 months, and we also used it to pay part of our mortgage interest during that period as well. And now I'm in the process of getting that PPP loan forgiven. We were able to get the first one forgiven late last year, donating up about $2,000 on our mortgage. We budgeted $59,000. That came in at $6,000. That's all other ministries. This is things like the money that we give to the Synod as a benevolence every month. Also covers some of our worships in reserve. That's up to $52,000 right now. That's an increase of approximately $2,000. Some of that is actually because of the interest that we're getting paid off of the endowment that goes into the reserve. The endowment has gone from $64,000 at the beginning of the year up to $77,000. So we've actually seen a growth of a little south of $12,000 or $13,000 just due to how the market's been performing. That gives us a subtotal of liquid value of $129,370 in seeds at this point, which is up from the $114,683 that we were at the beginning of the year. We also track the amount that we owe to seeds. So this is actually carried on our balance sheet. At the beginning of the year, we owed $109,000 to seeds, $110 a little bit. In the middle of February, before we got the PPP loan, we actually had to borrow a little bit from seeds to make our monthly bills. We have been paying to and from that a little bit over time, but over the course of the 7 months, we've effectively borrowed $3,000 from seeds and transferred that over to the general fund at this point. So if you think about the book value of seeds, I know it's a little bit of an accounting way to think about it, we're at $242,000 book value for seeds compared to a book value at the beginning of the year of $224,000. And that's just taking the value of the reserve, the endowment, and what we owe to it. So, and the idea is still long-term, I'd still like to get that paid down. And next slide. Other financial highlights, just so you can see what our mortgage balance is. We are actually we're below $1.2 million on our mortgage balance as of July 31st. We're down at $1.181 million is what we owe on our mortgage. So you can see that we've actually paid about $27,000 of principal off of the mortgage. Other highlights of the dedicated funds, we did have approximately $7,200 in the seminary scholarship. This is something we set up in the fourth quarter for Bunny. We paid her a $5,000 check prior to her leaving for Iowa, and then we cut her another check in the middle of the first quarter for the remainder of that funds. That dedicated fund has $50 in it right now. If you guys want to dedicate to continue to support her, I know she's going into her next year up at seminary, just let Jill know and we can, or Heidi know, and we can get those funds dedicated. It's actually a drop-down category in Realm. All other dedicated funds, we have approximately 10 of them. You can see there hasn't been a lot of change in what those values are. Those are things like emergency response, WECA, there's Adopt a Soldier, there's a few other ones inside of that as well. But overall value of that, we have seen some movement on the amounts in those various dedicated funds, but overall the value has stayed about the same with time. So the last thing I wanted to leave you with on the financial side is Jack asked me, as a part of our conversations with where we're at with the youth staffing coordinator position, to go through and project what does it look like we're going to actually end up at the end of 2021. On the revenue side, what I did is I actually just took the average amount of revenue that came in for the first 7 months and averaged that out for the remainder of the year. So realize that these numbers reflect lower attendance earlier in the year with COVID, also reflects lower attendance and giving that we see in the summer months, which historically we've always seen that. Traditionally, the end of the year is one of our bigger giving times, just as people come back to the church in the fall, and then as we go into the holiday season as well. So right now, based off the average values that have been coming in over the last 7 months, we're expecting to end up at about $212,000 of total pledged giving and $148,000 of non-pledged giving. And you can see that's significantly down from what we had in the budget. Budget had us at $228,000 for pledged offerings. Non-pledged is at $178,000. So you can see the delta there is approximately $44,000. If you were to ask me off the record what I think it's going to be greater than that, because I know we historically see that number come up as you go into the fall. But just mentioning that's one of the risks that we've got. That's probably the biggest risk that we have according to our financials. All other revenue, we expect to be about $5,000 up on all other revenue by the end of the year, and I am still including the value from the PPP loan, assuming that gets forgiven, which it will, of $29,000. If there is an opportunity to get a third round of PPP, which right now I haven't heard anything, but with Delta going through the country, I don't know what they're going to have there. I can guarantee you we're going to be on top of that, watching for that opportunity. So when you look at where we're at right now, total income of my latest estimate is $433,000 compared to a 2021 budget line of $443,000, which leaves us with a shortfall of about $10,000 on the revenue side. Any questions on any of that? Okay, on to the expenses. So you can see we actually have the numbers in here for staff, and you can see that we're a little bit low on the staff expenses. Those do reflect us bringing a youth coordinator on later this year, which I think Kevin's going to talk a little bit about here later in the presentation. Mortgage, we're going to end up at about $1,000 over on our mortgage, and the reason for that is we're still paying off that $2,000. We're saving about $3,600 a year with the lower interest rate. It just takes a while to pay that off. Building and grounds, down about $2,000. Insurance and others, this is what we're talking about with the dedicated or with the unallocated funds. We're going to get that taken care of in the next month here, but in order to make the numbers balance at the end of the day, I actually included those numbers in the forecast, that just to make sure that we're taking this in a conservative fashion. Youth ministry, we are expecting to have charges coming in at the second half as we start up Sunday school here, hopefully, if Delta allows us to do it in the fall. We also have mission trips planned for next year. I know we have youth gathering, we have camps next summer. Those charges almost always come up in the months of November and December. There's discounts at Luther Hill. If you can actually pay it early, we take advantage of those. It just means that we're prepaying for next year on those funds. So you can see that I did put about $14,600 or $10,000, excuse me, in for youth ministry. We did have some money for confirmation that I put in there as well. There's a lot of uncertainty, like I said, between Delta and everything else. The numbers that we had going to youth camp, I think we were at 7 or 8 kids going to Luther Hill last year. But I'm still planning to fulfill what our full budget number was on youth ministry for our different camp attendances. All other ministries, you can see what that number looks like. We're down 4,500 on that. So overall, when you look at all of this, we're basically looking like we're going to break even on our budget for 2021. Probably, if you were to ask me, I'd probably say there's probably a little bit that we could do. I went a little bit aggressive on some of the assumptions, just because I think from a financial standpoint, I'd rather be conservative on revenue, aggressive on expenses, just to get ourselves into a comfortable position. Overall, what the total number here is, net number is $41,000 budget shortfall so far for 2021 is what I'm predicting right now for the end of the year. If you include the $3,000 that we borrowed from seeds, that brings that down to $38,000. That's what I'm using, the conservative revenue and the aggressive expenses. That's where my numbers are. If you were to ask me what my gut is telling me, I'm thinking we're going to be in the $25,000 to $30,000 range for a shortfall at the end of the year. I didn't write that down because that's what I'm guessing. It's just not what the methodology I described to you is telling you. The plan for that, if we have a $25,000 shortfall, would be to borrow that from seeds. Okay? I believe that's the end of the financial presentation. Is there any questions about the financial before I hand the microphone back over to Kevin? Can we toss the microphone?
Where are we tossing it?
The shortfall.
Would you mind name and question?
Jim Rust.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. I knew that, but.
Do we have a feel for the shortfall in the reason for the shortfall in pledges? Are we losing people? Is there some? Just do we have any kind of demographics or reasons for why the pledges are falling off?
I will.
And whether that's permanent or not.
I know what the numbers looked like. There was a lot of uncertainty in the non-pledged. We didn't get the same number of pledge responses last year when I built the budget as a part of the stewardship campaign. So a lot of those individuals got moved from pledged to non-pledged. I will have to go back and look to see how those numbers have matched. That's not something I've analyzed yet, but I'll definitely take it on my list of things to do, because I think that's actually something, we are going to do that going through the stewardship process here in a few months, but I think that's a really good question of where are those shortfalls coming from. Yeah, no, it'd be interesting, because the question is I'm conjecturing here, which is dangerous when you have your treasurer doing that. Is it a function of people are giving less, or have we lost some people who are giving more? And that's what I'd like to understand a little bit more of. So, sorry to not answer your question, but I have pledged to actually go and look into more detail in that. We just have to pull all the numbers of everyone who's given within realm and then actually go and sum that up and look at what we assumed on a budgetary basis versus what people have actually given. So we've got the data to do it. It'll take about a day to do it. Any other questions? Kevin, the mic is yours.
All right, next on our agenda, we have the pastoral report. And so he's working his way on up here.
Thank you. I think I'm going to go ahead and steal your thunder just a little bit, if that's all right with you, Kevin. Excellent. So during the summer, we had the potential of, back up a little bit, during the summer, we got to make friends with new old friends, the YMCA down the road. And during that time, we got to watch the camp counselors over there do their job. And one day I came in and Jill said, I need you to go over to the other building right now because there's someone over there you need to see because she is amazing with her kids. And I went, oh? So we gathered our stuff and walked over there not so chalantly, and sure enough, we saw Ikira Green working with her kids over there, and I immediately had two thoughts. Either one, I'm going to make sure this woman joins our church, and number two, if at all possible, I'm going to make sure she works for us. Well, I can tell you we've been able to accomplish both of those things, and as of Wednesday, Ikira Green is now our new youth director. I want to invite Ikira to come up at this time. And she is new to speaking to the public and the world. Where's the big soft mic? She really likes that. We practice with that. Yeah, give her a throw. There we go. Here we are. There we go. So come on up here, Ikira. Ikira serves as a paraprofessional with the Conroe School District over at BB Rice around the corner. She has been there for, what, 5 years?
3.
3. Mm-hmm. All right. And this summer celebrated her 25th birthday.
I did.
Yes, which means that like we're about 25 years apart, nothing to it. I wanted to give her just a few seconds to introduce herself, tell you a little bit about who her people are. Jill has your family pictures back there when you're ready.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna take this off.
You're okay, yeah.
My stomach is like, okay. So my name is Ikira Green. This is my mom, Gloria. And next page. This is my brother, Eric. He's the oldest out of us all. This is my sister, Jaquise. She is my oldest sister. And these are my other 3 sisters. And I am the youngest out of all of them. This is my grandmother, and a little bit about her. She is 103 years old and is still living. She helped raise me, and she has just been a big inspiration in my life. And this is my dad, who has also raised me, and he is a huge supportive dad and has been there since I was 2. Given the role of him being a father. And I think
that's everybody there.
That's everybody, okay.
Yeah. So I asked Ikira, I said, so when you told your family you were going to be working for the Lutherans, because Ikira did not grow up in the Lutheran church. In fact, she just learned about the Lutherans this summer. I had to laugh because what was their question?
Are you the only black person?
Are there any other black persons in the church? And I said, well, as far as the staff goes, not so much. But we have 1 or 2 in the congregation. We are not opposed in any way, shape, or form of having a little diversity in our congregation. Is that fair to say? There we go. I think that's important for us to put that out there, that is a very real thing, and we acknowledge that. She has already begun to put stuff in her office, and the idea is we'll do about 15 hours a week. Have you figured out exactly what your office hours look like there, or what the plan is?
So 8 hours on Sunday, and then throughout the week, I can come.
We have about 4 hours there planned in there.
Well, yeah. I mean, I could come every day of the week after.
I wouldn't come here every day of the week if I did 15 hours. That's how we use and abuse and break. Point is that we will have some set times when she'll be here, and then she'll be working some from remote. We're anticipating wonderful things. Our first goal is to rebuild our youth program and see if we can't get some things cooking here.
Yes.
We know that's important. We know that has been lacking, and we are all over it. And Ikira is just the person to get it done. I'm absolutely certain. She works great with younger kids. I've seen that. And all the older kids are still alive, which I
Yes,
consider
they
to
are.
be a massive, huge win on top of all of that.
Most definitely.
Anything else you'd like to add at this time?
I do. I am very excited for this journey. It is new to me as far as being in the church, being a youth director. But I love kids, and I cannot wait to. She's so excited. I'm speechless at the moment.
You're doing just fine. Trust me, I get speechless in front of them all the time too. They're very forgiving people.
But I'm wanting to bring the youth together and just give back to the community as well.
We love it, absolutely. Ikira, welcome to Tree of Life Lutheran.
Thank you.
Mr. President, or I should say Mr. Vice President.
Not yet. Yeah, the jury's still out on that. On a side note, being in education myself, my wife and I between the two of us, 53 years, this is an exciting time for us because when I first came to the church in the late 90s, I guess it was, mid-90s, we didn't have a lot as far as for the youth, okay? And then all of a sudden, we got a pretty special person in there, and just it exploded. We became known in the area as the place to bring your kids for youth, okay? And then things happen, people move on. Finding the right person for that is so important. An old coach told me, because I coached for many years, an old coach told me, you can't build a herd if you kill off the calves. And we have a person now that I feel just so excited about that's going to get that going. But I'll tell you what, it takes a village. It takes all of us. Not one person can do that job. It takes all of us to help out, join together, get the kids back here, get that program going, and it's going to be a great thing. So all of us are behind you. Welcome. One more time, give her a round of applause, please. All right, moving on then. Time's getting short here, I think. Strategic plan update. Looking at 2022, our vision. The entire world knows God's love, and our mission has been this for quite a few years, and it's going to remain to invite, inspire, and include all people in Christ's love. All right, so we had our council planning retreat, and we came up with some ideas that we need to focus on for this coming year. Okay, so what we did originally, we sent out our congregational survey. We had 42 people respond, and we had 3 questions. What was the most challenging thing for you this past year? What unexpected surprises have there been this past year? And what are your hopes and dreams for the congregation? As you all know, we're still in the midst of this COVID situation. So what was the most challenging? For our responses, they said the isolation. We're social people. All right, we need to be around people. So the isolation was the most challenging. For the next part, it said unexpected surprises in the past year, loss of staff and members, and how great staff and volunteers responded to online worship and Zoom. Okay, we're kind of the cutting edge as far as that's concerned, I think. The people that put together our Zooms every Sunday, we came in, there was a few of us that came in that were like ushers and things and help with all of that. And just to see that machine behind the scenes was pretty impressive. And the thing is, it just kept getting better and better. All right, so kudos to all the people that came in and did that, because God knows I couldn't have done that. But that's one of the things that we talked about during our retreat also, our planning retreat, is utilizing the skills of all of us, because this is our church, this is our community, and we have to make sure that we are utilizing the people that we have in place to benefit all of us. All right, so next please. Hopes and dreams going forward. Optimistic return to a new and better norm. What that is, that's still up in the air, and that's what we're going to find out together on this journey. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. All right, moving along. The plans for 2022 begins now. Focus in 4 areas. So when we got together, this was in June, all of us got together, and we determined that these areas are something that we really need to focus on. And these are the worship, community and use of the building, which we've seen that already, and look what that's done for us. When we opened up our doors to the YMCA and the results that we got with Miss Green here, it's fabulous. It's only gonna get better with that. Okay, our staffing and youth. Like I said, the youth is a huge deal for my family, for me, for my whole philosophy. Our stewardship, of course, and then prayer is at the center point. That was a mainstay that we said that we need to focus and get back into the idea of why we're here, okay? So with these four things, we're saying this is what we need to move forward in these very trying times. And you know what? We're gonna do it. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a hard road. It has been a hard road, but it's gonna get there. Okay, as far as worship, smooth transition to a balanced blend of live and online worship. I think we're doing pretty well with that right now, okay? Can it get better? Absolutely. But those cameras back there, they make a huge difference, okay? Just those little things, you know, and we have a pastor that's pretty cutting edge himself in that version, in that area. And so that's really helped us. And then, you know, when you have people, churches calling from all around the Houston area for him to come and help them, I'd say that we're doing pretty well with that. All right, put to use new learned skills, temporary move to one service. Okay, so this is something that we need to talk about and have a little discussion about. All right, it was brought to our attention that the numbers during our first service are dwindling, they're low, okay? And so the idea of having one service to get reunited, and then this would be a temporary thing where we come all together, and when the numbers demand of it, then we can go back to 2 services. So what I'm gonna do is open this up. If people have anything to say, I think it would be a wonderful time now because we want input. We want to hear what you all think about this because this is a big deal. Now, I come from a church in southeastern Minnesota. We only had the one service. We shared a pastor with another church, so we rotated early service and later service. So I'm used to that myself, just having the one service, but we changed the times accordingly, sharing the pastor with the other church. So is it plausible to do this? Absolutely. You know, and so I would like to open discussion right now with anyone that would have something to say about the one service. Okay, now this is still an ongoing thing where we're trying to decide here, so nothing's going to be set in stone, but we want to hear from you. And who has the plush? And if someone would like to, okay, here we go, this should be fun. Okay, I'm going to tell you what, that's right there, that's impressive. Right there, that toss, they're very good. Okay.
It was quite easy to catch so well done. Hey, Kevin, I know when we met in council, we talked a little bit about times. Has any movement been discussed or any further discussion about what time that one service would be?
Well, that's what we want to discuss also, because some people have talked about, do we have a happy medium where we kick it back an hour and then kick it forward an hour so we have service at 9 o'clock? Okay, do we keep the 10 o'clock? You know, so do we have the 8 o'clock? I know some people don't like getting up that early, and you can, I'm sorry to say this, but you can kind of tell that with how many people there are at the 8 o'clock service. So that is something also that we need to discuss and look at. Do we want to have it at 9 o'clock? Do we want to keep it at 10:30, 9:15, or what have you? And Pastor, anytime you want to jump in here.
I'm coming. So, a couple things. Part of the challenge for us right now, when it comes to the question of what does the future hold, is that the present is constantly changing. Already, in the last 3 days, so much has already happened in our community, and I honestly cannot tell you what the end of the week. Can you tell me that the schools will be open in 2 weeks? No. So we have literally no idea what's happening today, or what's happening tomorrow, or what's happening 3 weeks from now, as much as I truly wish I could. In part because, like you, I am exhausted of change and shift, and I hate the word pivot. I've pivoted more so many times, there's a hole in the ground. So, you know, and I would also say that we have to be conscious over time that we need to probably have more conversation with this in an own separate fashion. But I would say that there's certainly room for all kinds of possibility. What we don't want to do is, especially during this time with so much transition, is to create a situation where we are isolating people any more than we already have. I am not opposed to us going to one service. I'm also not opposed for us to keep doing two services. What we really want to do is the will of the congregation. So, yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm one of those people who attend.
Go ahead, if you would, just so the folks online could hear who.
Oh, this is Sue my name is Sue Kohler.
There we go.
And I've been a part of this church from the very beginning.
Yes, ma'am.
And I do attend the 8 o'clock service, but I'm like Kevin, I also grew up in a 3-church parish, and, you know, church was at 9:15 or 10:15, depending on what your rotation was that month. And so I grew up with one service, and it seems to me that right now, with all the changes going on, we are also being asked to be stewards of what we have. And it seems like a tremendous, I don't want to say waste, but it's a lot of use of resources to keep the building open for, this morning there were, 6 or 7 of us?
Honestly,
I understand that,
yeah,
but it also, that's a concern to me.
Sure.
Because I'm one of those people who recycles everything and saves everything, and I have been to the recycling place many, many times, and, you know, I just think we have to be cognizant of that, you know, we looked at our budget, we're going to have a shortfall, and if a little bit helps here or there, then I think we need to consider that. And it also, when we have the 2 services, it's like we're 2 separate congregations. Because the people at the 10:30 service, if you go to the 10:30 service and somebody from 8 o'clock shows up, you think they're a visitor. You know, because you don't know us, and we don't know you. And that's not really how you build a congregation. That's all I have to say.
Just to piggyback on that, I showed up towards the end of the 8 o'clock service. I knew 2 people, and I'm supposedly going to be the president, you know, so having that 2 separate services, it's like you're having 2 different churches, and so that kind of was heartbreaking to me. I was like, I didn't grow up in a church like that. We knew everybody, and it was a family, and I like that idea also. Anybody else?
My name is Peggy Little, and I am an early service person also, but I am willing to change. But the thing I wanted to point out is I am the worship volunteer coordinator, and it's really hard to get volunteers to the early service, so one service would benefit me too in my scheduling.
Okay. I think Chuck, did you? Hold on. You get the plush thing. Look at that teamwork.
I was just wondering if there's been a lot of consideration for Bible study and how that'll work in with one service.
Okay, so this is what we used to do, that basically if we decided to go at 9 o'clock, let's just say at 9 o'clock, and then services would generally be after that. Okay, like Sunday school would go after that. Now I know some of the people that do the Bible study, some of them like to get up earlier, you know, and so you could have a room in the church and do the Bible study before the actual service at 9 o'clock. So there is still that window of opportunity where you could have before service, and then you have your service and go off for breakfast. You have your service, the Sunday school is afterwards, you go off for lunch. So all of that isn't taken into consideration. We do have the windows open for this. So that's part of that discussion. So, very good.
Yes?
The plush.
My arms used to be longer. Jeremy Brown, I'm a 10:30 service usually. Pre-COVID, I would come to the 8 o'clock service from time to time. And you're right about the two different groups of folks that are here. I'd like to just to point out our online folks. Just an idea to throw out to y'all, that if we have a service that flips from 8 to one month or 1 week to 10:30 the next week, or whatever times, if we change times, there's an online community that follows us that knows that we have a service at 10:30. For example, there are some of you in the room that worship with Ryan Dockery at his church at 9:30, because you know that's when his service starts, and at 10:30 you flip from his to ours. Okay, so just to be cognizant of our online community that are not here or not even members of our church that follow us. Flipping services may be hard to keep them in tow. That's all.
Okay. See, things like that we wouldn't have thought of, and that's why this discussion is so important that we have. So we put everything into consideration, and then some things will outweigh others, and then as a group, we will make that decision, and that's what we're going to go with. So thank you for that. All right, anyone else then? Okay. All right, so we wanted to introduce that, let you know that this is something that we're thinking about, and this could be happening, but like I said, there will be more discussions to follow. Okay. Community use of building, highest priority, youth. Connect to homebound, hospitalized. Continue to work for 100% involvement. That would be nice. Support and nurture, all ministries. Build off the great YMCA experience. All right, and then we have a person, Pat Rao, that's going to head that up, that's going to be a team leader of anyone that would like to be involved in that particular group. Okay, and these are the things that we really, I think, we've really expanded on this since I've been a member here, and it's only done good things. And so we just got to be careful and know what we're getting involved with, and not forget the true purpose of this church is our service, is our prayer, and things like that. Okay, so that's what we got to make sure that we're on top of that. All right. Any questions about the community and use of the building? Anything I'm missing there, Pastor? All right. Staffing and youth. You guys see that the youth is really quite important. It's on numerous things. So secure new youth leader, which we have done. All right. Generate backup for pastoral duties. Okay. Pastor, did you want to touch on that, or just when he got comfortable? I did that on purpose.
Reality is, you see me running around from here to there to there to here, and I don't have a microphone. What the hey, hello. We are a very we got very used to having a large staff here, where things just happened, and the congregation didn't necessarily always have to be here or there, and so on. And we've tried our best not to impose any more on you than we have. I really appreciate all the people who have stood up and helped and continue to help. It is very hard to do stuff every single Sunday in the modern world. I doubt seriously there's anyone in here who can tell me, with maybe exception of the littles, that you're here every single Sunday. And so the challenge to that, of course, is that we're here every single Sunday. And there are expectations every single Sunday. So, we're trying to figure out a way to get all the things that need to get done in a consistent way, in a good way, in a reproducible and robust way. And we are, working hard to get that done. But it, in a world that, quite frankly, I can't tell you what's going to happen this week or next week, makes for some fascinating times. And I think that's all I need to say to that. Yep.
Okay, moving on. Stewardship, return the assumption of growth. We were in a pre-COVID, our numbers were going up, things were looking really well, and obviously COVID put a damper in everybody's plans. But the things that we're doing here were so exceptional. And then with a new youth leader also, I think we can assume that we're going to get people coming back and new people coming in. So we got to keep that state of mind that we are going to grow and things are just going to get bigger and better for us, and things are going to around here. Okay. Continue to utilize Adopt a Project through these tight budget times. Y'all have come through unbelievably. You know, we need things going fixed or done here or done there, and people have stepped up, and it's amazing. Incredible people we have here, and we got to make sure that we utilize your talents as well as your pocketbooks. So we'll move on from there. Build a team to assist. Okay, Tom is going to head this one up with stewardship. If you want to get involved with that, please make sure that you get a hold of Tom right there. He looks excited, ready to go, to get after it. That's why we put Mr. Excitement in this one right here in charge of this. There he is. All right, moving on. Power of prayer. To overcome the challenges and take advantage of the opportunities, it must begin and end with prayer. That's why we're here. Okay, that's what it's all about. All right, prayer connects all four areas, relies on the Holy Spirit, and energizes all members to contribute. That's the key. That 100%, you know, this is really an easy one to do, to get 100%. Prayer, okay? And it is very powerful. And we got to make sure that it's not difficult to say a short prayer for someone when you know they're going through tough times, when you're going through tough times. It is a very powerful tool at our disposal at all times. Let's see. We need a renewed and vigorous call to prayer. And who are the team leaders here? That's all of us. We're all in this together. We can all do this. And it's very simple to do. But like I said, it's a very powerful tool at our disposal at all times. All right. Council priorities fall of 2021. Okay. Yeah, we're about to get into all of this again, the 2022 budget. Jim's going to lead us through that, and with all of our support, obviously. Nomination process of 2022. Council election, that's me. So if you all want to be a member, I think we have room for you. We have chairs. I can find chairs. I'll take them from Oak Ridge and bring them up here, and they're nice chairs, so we'll have plenty of chairs if you would like to be part of this. Yeah, Julie can help me with that. All right. Our stewardship campaign, Tom, he's going to be heading that up. And then we talked about this, maximize time, talents, and staff resources, and congregational resources. We talked about things that we can do that people have a skill that they may just have as a hobby, but that may benefit us in some way. We want to take advantage of that, okay? And I know that there's a lot of you sitting here and at home that have some hidden talents. Yes, even Larry Klotz has a hidden talent. And so we want to utilize those to see how that can benefit our church, our community, and just all aspects of our church. Okay? Next. Is it? Oh, we made it. Nothing was thrown at me, not even the plush thing, so that was good. Oh, too late. Look at that. Touchdown, we just won. Here we go. Pastor, I hand it over to you, sir.
There we go. Well, let me use the thing here. By the way, this belongs to Spirit of Joy Lutheran Church. I should probably go ahead and say that I borrowed it from them. With their permission mostly. So anyways, I thank Pastor Hanson for being so kind and gracious to us. The Lord be with you. And let us pray. Gracious God, as we conclude our time together, we simply ask that you continue to guide us, inspire us. Help us see where we need to go. Give us strength to do what we must do. And give us courage to continue to move during these uncertain times and not be fearful to take the next step. We humbly ask all these things in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
With no further discussion, we are adjourned. Thank you. Everyone have a great day and great week.